Welcome into this new edition of Beyond the Arc right here on High School Cube News. Brian Chimino with you once again with Michael O'Brien of the Chicago Sun-Times. It's already week 2 and the top 25 is thrown into bedlam. It was a good one on Sunday, Mike. We're talking about Curie winning in overtime against St Rita, 79-76. You can talk about the good or the bad with this game.
Yeah, I think the most notable thing out of it, besides for Cliff Alexander's 2 technicals, besides for who won, was that Charles Matthews, the top junior in the state, one of the top 5 or 10 juniors in the entire country, has an ankle injury that might be kind of serious. And Gary DeCesar, the St Rita coach, apparently is NFL bound or something with the way he's hiding injuries from everyone. No one had a clue, until the game started. So that's definitely going to affect St Rita's chances. He's their best player and one of the best players in the state. They were also, without their big man Miles Carter, who was supposed to guard Cliff Alexander, and their point guard Amani Chaney. So that was definitely kind of a decimated St. Rita team that was able to take Curie to overtime at home, so they have to like that.
And a lot of people talk about Charles Matthews, but what about his brother Dominique? He took over.
Yeah, he's a great high school player. He's still looking at some college opportunities, still getting all of his grades in order and stuff, but he's one of those seniors who is out to prove something this year, and he really took advantage of the big stage on Sunday.
So as far as the top 25, Curie winning that game, moved up the spot to number 8. St. Rita dropped from 5 to number 9. We did have a lot of teams in the top 25 originally that took some on the chin last week, and I can just run them off. Talk about St. Viator losing to Prospect. Zion got upset at the buzzer by Evanston. Bloom, North Lawndale, De La Salle, Hillcrest, Thornton all go down in 1 week.
Yeah, I think if you asked anybody who does rankings or all the prognosticators around, we knew this year was going to be kind of a messy year. Everyone, and I mean everyone, Simeon, Curie, probably Young, all the good teams are going to lose a decent amount. The coaches seem to know that, everybody knows that, and that means that the tier under them, a lot of these other teams might lose a ton, and we saw that right away. North Lawndale went out and lost 3 games. Thornton's already lost 2. A team like St. Viator was supposed to be one of the first, maybe second-tier state title contenders in 4A, and they're losing to Prospect, which isn't a bad team, but it was a pretty interesting week. Just had to throw the Super 25 from the preseason out and start over basically yesterday to add a bunch of new teams.
And there's a lot of teams lost in the top 25, a lot of new debuts. We're talking about 7. West Aurora with the biggest jump, not ranked. John Joe Walker and West Aurora going to number 17. Also St. Charles debuting at 19. And then at the bottom you got a bunch. Hyde Park, York, who won the Palatine tournament, Palatine Fremd, Joliet Central, and a team I was kind of impressed with, the Uplift Titans.
Yeah, York and West Aurora are 2 teams that could have been in the Super 25. York's got a really good big man in Frank Toohey. West Aurora has John Terrell Walker and Roland Griffin. They've got good players. They could have been in there. The other teams, like Joliet Central, was kind of a surprise. They have a transfer back from Kentucky that had been in Joliet when he was younger, so they added some size they didn't have. I heard a lot of good things about that team. Uplift, just out of nowhere, came together with a really interesting, solid team this early in the year, so it was nice to add a team that's never been in the rankings in there at 25.
A lot of changes in the top 25. Check them out right here on High School Cube News. We got some big games and some shootouts coming up this week I want to mention. First off, let's talk about the Mac Irvin Classic being held at Larkin. You got 3 marquee matchups there. We're talking Morgan Park versus Larkin, Proviso East, who just knocked North Chicago downstate in Thanksgiving last week. They'll be taking on St. Viator, who's having some problems, and also Orr and Providence St. Mel going at it.
Yeah, you've got the star-studded Chicago Elite Classic going on Saturday at UIC, but the 2 best games this week, 2 of the best games probably this year, are at Larkin on Saturday. Morgan Park against Larkin is just a phenomenal game, the kind of thing you don't see very often with the public league powerhouse going out that far west into that team's gym, a community that's really excited about that team. It should be packed. It should be a lot of fun. That one could definitely go either way. And then, a matchup like St. Viator and Proviso East is also definitely worth your trip. That is a top-notch shootout without doubt.
And also, you mentioned the Chicago Elite Classic taking place from the UIC Pavillion on Saturday, starting Saturday morning. It's year number 2 of this cool event. A lot of games to run down. What are some notes you want to take from Saturday?
They're reaching for the stars with this one. Tyrone Slaughter and Robert Smith, the Young and Simeon coaches are the ones running this. They want this to be the premier shootout in the country for high school basketball. So they're bringing in the best teams they possibly can. They've got the best teams from Chicago there. So if you want to see, the stars of tomorrow, this is the place to go, no doubt. It's not as much of the high school basketball fan thing as maybe it is out in Larkin, where you've got, Morgan Park against Larkin has a lot more to do with the local scene. But there's definitely going to be just star-studded talent there. USA Today ranked teams, and Cliff Alexander, Jalil Okafor, Simeon, Tyler Eulis. It's just a crazy lineup of stars.
The Chicago Elite Classic, year number 2, starting at 10:30 this Saturday. Check them out. Tickets still available online. That'll do it for this edition of Beyond the Arc right here on High School Cube News. Check us out next week for a new edition with me, Brian Chimino, and Michael O'Brien of the Chicago Sun-Times. We'll see you next week.